This is a MJ production. Good day and a warm welcome to you all. My name is Marius, and on this YouTube channel there will be different series. One of the series is called the Disability Sport Talk Show. In the Disability Sport Talk Show, I'm going to focus on different disabilities like visually impairment, cerebral palsy, paraplegics, etc. and therefore also different sporting codes. In some episodes, my guest and I are going to introduce you to a sport, and in other episodes, my guest and I will discuss more technical aspects of a specific sport. If you have any questions or suggestions, you are welcome to post it in the chat of this YouTube channel. Or you can go to the Facebook page, MJ Productions Shows. M for Mike, MJ Productions Shows. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, and I'm going to quote from them, cricket is believed to have begun possibly as early as the 13th century as a game in which country boys bowled at a tree stump or at the hurdle gate into a sheep pen. This gate consisted of two uprights and a crossbar resting on the slotted tops. The crossbar was called a bail and the entire gate a wicket. The fact that the bail could be dislodged when the wicket was struck made this preferable to the stump, which name was later applied to the hurdle uprights. Early manuscripts differ about the size of the wicket, which acquired a third stump in the 1770s. But by 1706 the pitch, the area between the wickets, was 22 yards or 20.12 meters long. The ball, once presumably a stone, has remained much the same since the 17th century. Its modern weight of between 5.5 and 5.75 ounces, or between 156 to 163 grams, was established in 1774. Now today in episode 2 of the Disability Sport Talk Show, my question is, how do totally blind and partially sighted people play cricket? International blind cricketer Matt Carter explained. Referring to cricket for visually impaired, what is the correct term to use? Because some people argue that you cannot call it blind cricket, the sport cannot be blind.
Correct, yeah. I mean, it is called blind cricket, but you're right, it is played by predominantly visually impaired, in a squad of 11, 7 are visually impaired and not totally blind. But the original concept of the game of cricket was for blind people to include them and to get them involved. So it is still called blind cricket.
What is the history of blind cricket? When did people start with blind cricket in general?
So the knowledge I have, the story I was told and from what I've looked up online, is the first game was 1922 and it was in Melbourne, Australia. And so there was a test match on, a sighted test match as it were, was being played, and the blind people obviously wanted to be involved. And so 1922 Melbourne, Australia was the first adaptive form of blind cricket. Back then they put rocks inside a tin can as the audible noise for them to use as for the hitting. For the sound, the audible noise of the ball was, as I say, rocks in a tin can. It's since then developed. There was rings inside a cane ball, and then so nowadays we have ball bearings inside a plastic ball. But 1922 in Melbourne, Australia. The first interstate game was 1953 between two of the Australian interstate teams, New South Wales and Victoria.
Explain to me, how did blind people play the game and how many players are there in the team?
So it's 11 players in the team. The two variations from blind cricket and sighted cricket is the ball itself. So as I say, the current ball is plastic with ball bearings, so it makes an audible noise. And then the other major variation is that the ball is bowled underarm, and so it will bounce on the ground or roll on the ground multiple times, as I say, creating an audible noise for blind cricket. So those are the two main variations, is the underarm bowling and then the ball being plastic with ball bearings to make an audible noise. The number of players, there are 11 players, of which 4 must be totally blind, and then 3 are what we call B2 category, where they have medium strength eyes, and then B3, there are 4 B3s, and they are the stronger sighted. They're still partially sighted. They do have limited eyesight, but they are the stronger categories, as it were, stronger eyesight.
But how does the ball look and sound like?
There are some limitations. At the moment, the ball really only makes a sound when it hits the bat and then as it's sort of coming to a stop. So, it does need further development to try and make it more audible at all times. But, for now, this is what we're working with, yeah.
How did the totally blind player bat and also doing the bowling?
So for batting, it is so you must cue before a bowler bowls. He must ask the batsman, are they ready? And then as they bowl, they will say play. They will call play, and so then the totally blind batsman will know that the ball is coming and will listen for it in order to then play an appropriate shot based on where the ball is coming from. For bowling, same thing. So they must ask the batsman if they're ready. They can then also ask for a direction from the wicketkeeper to make sure that they are bowling the ball, straight in the pitch, trying to hit those stumps.
We are now going to listen to 2 audio clips. First, where a B3 player bowl, and then after that, a B1 bowler asking his keeper for direction and bowl after that. Please remember that the 2 audio clips is not part of the video that you see now on screen. The video on screen is just a random blind cricket game.
Batsman!
One. Last 2 balls, gents.
Right, cue him, Shep. Stay, stop. Very bad. Yes. Right. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
And when a B1 is batting, the fielders must also keep quiet.
Correct, yes, the fielders must keep quiet, and also a B1, obviously a total blind, will use a runner. They don't run for themselves, so they will have a runner who will do the running for them. But yes, but the players must be quiet so that there is no masking of the ball.
And the B1's also wearing the glasses to make
Correct.
sure that they are totally blind.
Correct, yes, they all wear total blackout glasses, that's right.
The runner for the B1 batter must be part of the team of 11 players. The B2 batter may also make use of a runner, but if you would like to run for yourself, you are welcome to do so. The B3 players are not allowed to make use of a runner. Did the players use any gloves or any type of padding?
Yes, so the B1s in particular, being totally blind, will wear full protective gear. They will have shin pads, they wear a box, and we wear normal batting gloves to protect their fingers and whatnot. Some of the better sighted players, they don't worry with the shin pads as much. They trust themselves to hit the ball. The ball doesn't come through as fast as in sighted cricket, so they get away with it. But but we still wear normal cricket gloves. Helmets are available for anyone who wishes to use it, and normal wicket keeping gloves also are used by the wicket keeper. Yeah.
Do you know what is the speed that the B2s and B3s or even the B1s bowl?
I've heard that there is an Australian fast bowler who used to be able to get it up around the 100 kilometres an hour. So, but I'm not sure if it's ever been officially speed gun rate. But the reality is it's probably much lower, probably 50 to 60 kilometres an hour it's coming through. Yeah.
Sight classification, and I'm reading from the rulebook. B1 players: no light perception in either eye, up to light perception, but inability to recognize shape of the hand at any distance or in any direction. B2 players: from the ability to recognize the shape of the hand up to a visual acuity of 2/60 or visual field of less than 5 degrees in the better eye after correction. B3 players: from visual acuity above 2/60 up to visual acuity of 6/60. or visual field of less than 20 degrees in the better eye after correction. The term visual acuity 2/60 mean what the fully sighted person can see on a distance of 60 meters that partially sighted person can see on a distance of 2 meters. Visual acuity 6 on 60 mean what the fully sighted person can see on a distance of 60 meters, that specific partially sighted person can see on a distance of 6 meters. Is the double hit also valid for blind cricket?
Yes, it is definitely a valid, because if you can't see the ball properly, there is a big temptation to stop it. Like a hockey thing, you would trap it and then play your shot, and that is definitely not allowed. You are not allowed to hit it twice. It must be one fluid motion when you're playing your shot.
In able-bodied cricket, the weather and humidity play a big role. Is it the same for blind cricket? Are there maybe any other factors who can play such a big role?
So the weather still does affect blind cricket. It's for safety reasons. Obviously, running in the outfield or running on the pitch when it's wet does, is a danger factor. The ball doesn't get as damaged in the wet because it's a plastic ball. Obviously, in able-bodied cricket they use a leather ball, so the plastic ball doesn't get as damaged, but it's still a safety issue. So rain will stop play for blind cricket also. Yeah.
I think also if it is windy, it might be a challenge for B1 players.
Correct, windy, or if there's a helicopter or a plane flying overhead, heavy machinery nearby, they are a challenge for the B1s who are trying to listen for the ball, yes.
Did the pitch play the same role as that they play for able-bodied cricket? The preparation for the pitch, etc.?
Yeah, so the pitches prepared, we use exactly the same pitches as able-bodied cricket. One variation that we do is we have a line that is drawn halfway down the pitch between the stumps, from one stump to the other. There will be a line going, because the ball must land before that line. It must land in your half, and then the opposite, in both halves of the pitch, the ball must land. So that's the one difference with preparing the pitch. The pitch doesn't actually play as much of a part in blind cricket because there is not the variable bounce, there's not the spin that you can get off a pitch as much in blind cricket. The ball we use, the plastic ball, doesn't grip as much to spin, and as I say, the bounce is not variable as much as in able-bodied cricket.
But there is a slight of bounce.
Yes, it's reasonably limited. Some players can get really good bounce, but not many. It's
not the same for able-bodied.
Correct, not the same. You're never going to get a ball up around your head where you've got a duck. You don't get bounces in blind cricket. The closest you'll get it's called a beamer, where the ball doesn't bounce at all, where it'll come straight to the batsman, and that can be extremely dangerous in blind cricket because the batsmen don't pick it up at all. They don't see it, as it were. Yeah.
Identifying classification on the field of play. B1 players will be distinguished on the field of play by a white wristband to be worn on the right wrist, or by one white stripe on the right upper arm or the playing shirt. B2 players will be distinguished on the field of play by a red wristband to be worn on the right wrist, or by 2 white stripes on the right upper arm or the playing shirt. B3 players will be distinguished on the field of play by a blue wristband to be worn on the right wrist, or by 3 white stripes on the right upper arm or the playing shirt. In some sporting codes like Braille chess and goalball, it is possible for totally blind and the fully sighted to play against each other and together. Is it possible for blind cricket?
I mean, fully sighted just have a much bigger advantage, obviously. They're able to track the ball. If it's in the field, they can just see it all the way, as opposed to those of us in blind cricket. Even the partially sighted will lose track of the ball sometimes and need to use the listening, the audible. So, sighted players can. I do know of, some sighted people who will play. They play to make up the numbers, to include things, but they're not allowed to take catches. If you're a sighted player, you're not allowed to take a catch because, as I say, they just have too much of an advantage. But definitely at international level, sighted players are not able to participate and join in.
Catches for B1, the ball may bounce once. If you to catch a ball, what is the situation for the B2s and B3s?
No, so for B2s and B3s, they must catch it on the full, as in normal able-bodied cricket. They must catch it on the full, take a clean catch. But yes, correct, with B1s, if the ball bounces once, they can then take the catch after that.
How common is the game amongst female players?
Not so much. It's developing. There are a couple of countries that are really starting to invest and to promote women's sport. Like I think women's sport in general and all codes across the world is starting to really develop and grow. And blind cricket is not the same. It is not different. It is developing. Some countries are really starting to put resources into it and trying to develop. At the moment, a lot of the girls, they have to play with the men, and that sort of puts them off a little bit. But it is developing. It is coming. Yeah.
And also, if you keep in mind the percentage of how many people in the community are blind, and then if you compare that with cricket, you have 11 players, so it's more challenging to find 11 visually impaired women. If you compare that with the goalball, we have only 3 players for a team.
Exactly correct. You are 100% correct there. Yeah, exactly. That's right.
How many internationals, or how often are there international events?
It's been a bit weird because we've had the COVID pandemic, obviously that shut things down. But in theory, there is a T20 Cricket World Cup every 2 years is when it's supposed to be, and that's the major international event there for blind cricket. And then in between, some countries will do a bilateral tournament, a bilateral series. The biggest issue is obviously finding the money to get these disabled sports going is the issue. So yeah. Where
can you play blind cricket? Is it an indoor game? Can you play it outside?
It's primarily outside. I genuinely don't know. There's no reason why you couldn't play it inside as long as people, are quiet. There's no reason why it couldn't be played inside. I genuinely don't know if it is ever played indoors or whether it has been, but there's no reason why not. But primarily it is played outdoors on a normal cricket field, normal cricket pitch.
How did the wickets look like?
So the wickets are metal. They are made of metal as opposed to the wooden that are used. And again, they're made of metal for the audible sound. And these ones are sort of fixed in the ground as opposed to being the wooden stumps that will go flying. These ones are fixed in the ground, and they are painted. They are painted brighter colours, so usually white. But at the bottom of them there will be a black marker of 8 inches. And that is there because if you're a B1 batsman, you cannot be out if the ball bounces above that 8 inches black marking, because obviously it's a disadvantage if you're a B1, you cannot see the ball itself. The ball is bouncing. So if you're a B1 batsman, you must be bowled in that bottom 8 inches of the stumps.
But for the B2s and B3, it didn't count for them.
That's correct. They're fair game. They're fair game, and they can be out anywhere. If it's bounced, then they can be out. That's
and
right.
The white colour is so that the partially sighted can also see the wickets.
Correct, that's right, to make it more visible for those that can see. Correct, yes.
Some B1s also use the wickets to orientate them on the pitch, so it must be how can I put it?
As you say, a metal compound to make a noise when the wicket keeper's hitting it. Yeah.
But even if you touch the wickets, it can fall down.
That's right, move and disorientate and lose it. So exactly. So they have them fixed in the ground where they're not able to move, and they're a stable marker for the B1s to use.
Did they prepare the pitch the same like they do for able-bodied cricket?
Yes, yeah, the pitch is prepared the same. It's so we use normal pitches. The one variation is, as I say, we have a line halfway down the pitch indicating the ball must bounce in each half of the pitch, in the bowler's half and then the batsman's half. The ball must bounce at least once in each half of the pitch. But other than that, the pitch is prepared the same. Yes.
How far are the boundaries from the pitch?
They're 40 metres or 45 yards, and so it's smaller than the able-bodied one. We use a smaller boundary, one to help those that need to see the ball, and then also because the ball doesn't bounce as high, it's a bit harder for us to hit it to the boundary. So they bring them into 40 metres.
Normally, total blind batters go down on the one knee and play with a sweep shot action. But you may not put the bat on the pitch in the sweep shot action before the bowler say, play. Partially sighted batters do the same, but more often you will see that they stay on their feet and play with a straight bat. But that depends on the specific ball bowled to them. Who the bowler are might have an influence, but more important, the specific ball bowled to them. In which formats did players play the game? Is only T20s?
T20 is the main one, but no, we do have one-day internationals. The one-day internationals are 40 over a side. So yeah, so there are both available. No test matches. That would be just too hard, too long, not possible. But yeah, so T20 is the main one, but there is also 40 over one-day games as well.
What is the challenges that blind cricket had to face, and how can blind cricket overcome that?
So the biggest challenge, and I guess this is probably true with any disabled sport, is funding, right? And it's just getting funding from, it's not popular enough to be on TV to generate income from that or ad revenue, etc. So, unfortunately, we're relying on the generosity of business sponsors or of government donations. So that's the biggest challenge. The other one is obviously, we've mentioned that you need 11 players, and so a lot of the time they can be very spread out, and the getting 11 players to one field, or you need 22 players for two teams, and so getting the travel side of things and that side of things is a big challenge with blind cricket as well. But definitely getting sponsorship, and somehow we've got to grow it popular enough that people want to watch it on TV and try to generate, as I say, revenue that way.
And also the issue that many blind people, partially sighted, totally blind, are unemployed, so they cannot use their own money. Is also a big challenge for them to use their own money. Exactly right. Yes. Any other challenges?
Obviously, then there's, like we say, being blind and everything, we're relying on volunteers, right? We need volunteer umpires or drivers, as I mentioned before, the travel side of things. So we need drivers to help drive us around, help with that side of thing, and just in general, volunteers is the other one. In general, it's pretty good. People are, very generous with their time, but can always be better.
Are there any professional cricket players?
In India and Pakistan, there are professionals. They have their own domestic leagues. They get a lot of funding from the able-bodied boards, the Indian cricket boards and the Pakistan cricket boards. So they get a lot of funding from them. So they have their own domestic league that is professional, and they are able to make a living. We just mentioned blind people not being able to get a job. In those two countries, they are able to play blind cricket for a living.
Names like Brett Lee, Chris Gayle, Sean Pollock are familiar names, but who are the legends in blind cricket?
Yeah, as you say, because there's no TV coverage, right, and there's no worldwide coverage, so I don't know. I know a few famous New Zealand cricketers, a few famous South African cricketers, because that's where I've been. But, they're literally only famous in their area. I don't know if you'd call it worldwide famous, but I'm sure in India and Pakistan there are probably some megastars in their countries.
Is it a Paralympic sport?
It is not a Paralympic sport. There is the Disabled Games. I'm trying to remember what they're called, but the Disabled Games are this year in Edinburgh in England.
The IPSA Games.
Yes, IPSA Games. And so blind cricket is a part of that, but it is not a Paralympic sport. As I say, it's part of the IPSA Games later this year in August in Edinburgh.
So is that the highest level of competition? Do you have a World Cup?
Yes, no. There is a World Cup, which would be the highest level. So the World Cup is every 2 years, and the T20 format is a World Cup, yes.
What is the best way for listeners worldwide, if they want to get involved with cricket, either to follow the game, maybe play, or officials?
It's finding either the best way is just to contact your local blind cricket board, or even if you have a blind foundation or whatever the various names are in each country, they will be able to put you in contact. They're always happy to take volunteers, and they'll be able to put you in contact of the blind cricket organisations.
My very last question. Why should I play blind cricket and not another sport like goalball, doing athletics? What is it about blind cricket that make it for you a special sport?
So for me personally, being able to run in a field, knowing that the field is free of obstacles and free of, any dangers, that I love and enjoy. But there's also the tactical side of both blind cricket and able-bodied cricket, and that's what I enjoy as well, is the tactics of blind cricket, trying to outsmart your opposing team, whether they're batsmen or bowlers, trying to outsmart them, outthink them. And you get to make more friends in blind cricket. There's more people, so you make more friends than what you do in goalball.
I think that is also the nice thing in the sport in general, that you visit places that you never will visit, and you also make friendships.
Absolutely, yes. One of the great things, like, I mean, my story is perfect. I came to South Africa, I had one contact person in blind cricket, and from that I've made so many new friends, and I've played so many new sports, had so many new experiences just through being, in a blind community and all of that. Yes, absolutely.
And it is start for you in participating in blind cricket.
Yes, blind cricket is my passion. It's my first passion, but I have tried many others. I'm happy to give everything a go, but blind cricket is my first passion, yeah.
Currently, the World Blind Cricket Council has 10 full members: Australia, Bangladesh, England, India, Nepal, New Zealand, Pakistan, South Africa, Sri Lanka and West India. This brought us to the end of episode 2 of the Disability Sport Talk Show. You are mostly welcome to give feedback about this episode. A big thank you to my guest, Matt Carter from New Zealand. I also quote from Encyclopedia Britannica and read some rules of the International Blind Cricket. Till next time, goodbye and stay safe. This was a MJ production.